For West Asia, each day is bringing a new jolt, fresh twists and turns with far-reaching implications. After a fresh escalation between the US and Iran, Donald Trump has warned Iran that it will pay a big price. What form will that take? What happens here onwards? And what does this latest round of tensions really mean for the peace negotiations and for the region? Remember, Trump had earlier said a deal was imminent. He reportedly has made a similar claim over 30 times. But there's been no deal in sight, clearly. And as of now, uncertainty continues to plague West Asia. As the situation remains extremely precarious, Iran and the United States have traded fresh strikes. In that latest escalation, Washington struck multiple targets in Iran after Tehran allegedly shot down an American helicopter. Tehran also hit back by targeting America's regional partners. Iran and the US had their most serious military confrontations since that fragile ceasefire took hold. Iran targeted America's regional partners in the latest salvo in that tit-for-tat move. First, it launched missiles and drones at US bases in Kuwait, Jordan, and Bahrain. The messaging on part of Iran overall, Iran saying Gulf neighbors have a legal and moral obligation to prevent the US or Israeli operations from their territory. In fact, the incidents came after the US Central Command said it had completed what it called self-defense strikes against Iran. Iranian media, citing authorities, meanwhile acknowledged attacks in several locations near Hormuz, reporting strikes in Keshm Island, port cities of Bandar Abbas and Jask. In fact, Iranian media provided limited details on the strikes earlier, but it reported that strikes damaged a telecommunications tower in Sirik and destroyed 2 water tanks in the city. Just to point out the irony here, in a way, on the 28th of February, the war had started. Remember, earlier, Iran had maintained that it retaliated in self-defense, and today, the US seems to be saying that it retaliated in self-defense. In fact, just a few hours ago, Donald Trump lashed out at Iran, saying the country is all talk and no action. This is what he posted on Truth Social just a few hours ago. I'm quoting, "Iran's military is a complete and total mess. Much of it, like their Navy and Air Force, does not even exist anymore. They have been completely defeated. Iran is all talk and no action. The bully of the Middle East is dead. They have taken too long to negotiate a deal that would have been great for them. Now they will have to pay the price," quote unquote. That was the statement put out by him a few hours ago. Now, if those words seem familiar, that's because they in a way are. He has, of course, used such terms in the past as well. In April, for example, long ago, he said he was upset with the Iranian regime and that they are going to pay a big price for it. But a lot has unfolded since then. Things could now escalate in a dangerous direction at a very crucial juncture. And this is a major shift in what the situation looked like just a day ago, when Trump sounded optimistic, even saying a deal was imminent and the Strait of Hormuz could open in 2 to 3 days. Trump has basically been insisting that a deal could be reached. Cut to where things stand now. While he put out that post on Truth Social saying Iran has taken too long to negotiate a deal that would have been great for them, now they will have to pay the price. Questions continue to hover over what action he intended to take. It's also not clear what this really means for the ongoing diplomatic efforts to try and end the war. Here's what's also emerged. Trump is reportedly considering strikes on Iran's power plants and bridges. Fox News, citing a phone interview with the US president earlier, reported Trump is, quote, getting close to ordering new strikes against Iranian power plants and bridges in response to Iran reportedly dragging its feet on the negotiating table, reportedly. Meanwhile, uncertainty also continuing to brew around where things stand between Trump and Netanyahu. After the growing signs of tensions between the two leaders, in the latest, Netanyahu's party has announced that Netanyahu will be seeking re-election this year. Why is that significant? Because he felt the need to insist that he will be making that move after US President Donald Trump said he was not sure if the Israeli Prime Minister would stand again. In that statement, Netanyahu's party said that he would be running in the election. The election has not yet been formally announced, but must be held by October, remember. But the biggest test right now that faces Trump, Netanyahu, Iran is over what their moves really mean for the region. Will West Asia see another deadly escalation? Where are things headed? And as of now, each passing hour is adding to the dangerous uncertainty gripping the region, where the line between war and peace, escalation and calm continues to grow thinner. It was supposed to be a night about basketball. Instead, the biggest talking points of the NBA Finals seem to have come from the stands. US President Donald Trump received a loud chorus of boos from the fans as he attended Game 3 of the NBA Finals at Madison Square Garden in New York. Take a look. The moment unfolded when Trump appeared on the arena's giant video screen during the national anthem. In his image, flashing across, thousands of fans responded with jeers and boos that echoed through the venue. And Donald Trump attended the match with his granddaughter and several members of his administration. He appeared unfazed by that reception, seated in a luxury suite alongside longtime Knicks owner. The president smiled as the crowd voiced its disapproval, seemingly. The visit marking history, in fact, as Trump became the first sitting US president to attend an NBA Finals game. But then the evening also highlighted his complicated relationship with New York City itself. Remember, he built his business empire, public profile, yet a city where political opinions about him often remain deeply divided. That's been the other point of discussion. For many fans, in fact, to even get inside the arena was a challenge, reportedly. Ticket prices for the NBA Finals soared to thousands of dollars, with some of the best seats costing tens of thousands. Even the New York City mayor paid $1,000 for the ticket, reportedly. US President Donald Trump is raising doubts about whether Netanyahu should continue leading Israel into the next election, like we mentioned at the beginning of the show. At the same time, a growing number of Israelis are also questioning whether Trump remains fully committed to Israel's security interests, interestingly. Developments that are also putting Trump and Netanyahu under the spotlight for different reasons and triggering questions about the future of one of the world's most closely watched political equations. During an interview, Trump reportedly cast doubts over whether Netanyahu will run in Israel's next election. In a phone conversation with ABC News correspondent Jonathan Karl, Trump reportedly praised Netanyahu's political career, but questioned whether the Israeli leader wanted to continue in office. Trump reportedly described Netanyahu as a wartime prime minister and said that the US and Israel would soon win the war one way or the other. He also compared Netanyahu's position to his own, saying he also is a wartime president. Netanyahu's party reacted to Trump's reported remarks, stating that Netanyahu will contest the next election and expressing confidence that he will win. The election will be Israel's first since the October 7 attacks, remember, since returning to power in December 2022 at the head of the most right-wing coalition in Israeli history. Netanyahu has faced persistent political challenges. He faced mass anti-government protests even before the conflicts in Gaza, Lebanon, Iran, and the recent Israeli polls have repeatedly indicated that his coalition could struggle to secure a majority in the next election. A survey published on Tuesday itself by the Jerusalem-based Israel Democracy Institute found that 61% of Israelis believe that Netanyahu should not run again. And Trump's comments, remember, coming at a time when signs of strain have emerged in that relationship between him and Netanyahu, to say the least. In recent weeks, Trump has urged Israel to curb military action in Lebanon while Washington pursues negotiations with Tehran. Last week, Trump acknowledged using strong language while speaking about Netanyahu during a heated phone conversation, although he also insisted that the two leaders get along well in a way. At the same time, confidence in Trump's commitment towards Israel appears to be declining. According to the Israel Democracy Institute survey, only 44% of Israelis believe Israel's security is a central consideration for Donald Trump, and this is down sharply from 60% in March, when Israel and the US were conducting joint military operations against Iran. The survey also found deep skepticism about a possible US-Iran agreement. Just 32% of the respondents believe such a deal would eliminate the threat of ballistic missile attacks, while only 28% think that it would weaken the Iranian regime. Only 28%.